Welcome to PowerDirector versus KineMaster, the epic usability battle. This is part 2 of a 3-part video series in which I'm comparing PowerDirector and KineMaster based on usability features. Not fancy high-tech editing ability, but simple, basic usability features that most people use. I'm comparing PowerDirector and KineMaster based on 6 categories. In part 1 of this video series, I focused on the first 3 categories: selecting files, previewing files, and the main editing screen display. In this video, part 2, I'm looking at categories 4 and 5. 4, navigating the editing screen and settings, and number 5, editing tools and features. Fairly simple category actually. In PowerDirector, if I want to move through this project, all I can do is scroll. So I click and scroll over, click and slide over, click and slide over. And you can use a mouse or your finger, but basically you have to manually go all the way through the video. And this one isn't hard because this project is only 3 minutes long, but if you have a 30-minute video or a 60-minute video, doing this to get all the way from one end of the video can be very, very tiresome. KineMaster has a very neat trick up its sleeve to deal with this. Here we are back in KineMaster, and KineMaster, you can also do that if you want to. You can just click and drag to scroll along, but it has a button down here in the left-hand corner, and this button, if you hold it down, pops up a little menu, and it's a shortcut. Move to the end, move to the beginning, move to the previous point. So if I want to go to the end of this video project, I just click move to the end, and boom, I'm there. Open this up, move to the beginning, I'm back again. And trust me, if your video is 15 minutes long or 30 minutes long, this little button really starts to feel like a wonderful thing to have. And not only that, just clicking on it will automatically jump from one video clip to the next. This project at the moment only has 1 clip in it, but if there were multiple clips, every time you click on this button, you just jump ahead very quickly, and you can quickly jump from clip to clip to clip all the way through your project, get all the way to the end. You want to go back again, move to the beginning, there you are. So this little tool is great to have, and it would be nice if PowerDirector had it as well. Though PowerDirector does have one trick up its sleeve when it comes to navigating your project, and this is an interesting one that I discovered only by accident. And this is how it works, that when your video is playing in PowerDirector and then you move ahead in the screen and you stop scrolling, when you get there, the video automatically keeps playing. I'll show you what I mean. Let's hit play.
Adventure with me would be complete without some
now I want to move forward, so I scroll ahead a little bit, let go.
Really do that.
Keeps playing.
You've got to work a little bit with a real.
Move ahead. It just starts playing again. So I can go through here as fast as I want, and the video just keeps playing.
You can do real run.
That may seem like a small thing, but let's go to KineMaster. I hit play. Now I want to move through the video project because this is not where I want to be, so I want to find where I want to go. I scroll ahead. The video stopped. I have to hit play again.
Oh, you don't have to think about anything.
No, I don't want to be here, so I move ahead through the video. I get to here, I let go. The video stopped again. I have to hit play again.
The 50-meter.
Every time I make a move in KineMaster, the video stops, and I have to hit play over and over and over again. And over time, that can get very frustrating. And this feature in PowerDirector, by the way, is something in the settings that you can turn on and off. Let's go to settings, and there it is right there. Continue playback after seeking. So after you seek, move to a new place in the video, playback continues automatically. And I have that turned on. By default, when you first start up PowerDirector, this is turned off. And then it operates the same way as KineMaster, but I find this feature to be very helpful. Saves me a lot of time and a lot of hassle, so I always turn that on. And in terms of navigation, this idea of getting to the settings is another big, or another small yet big difference. Here I'm in the middle of a project in PowerDirector, and if I want to go to the settings and change something, there's a little settings button right here. I click on it, go into settings, and here are all the settings for PowerDirector. If I go into KineMaster, there is a settings wheel, but it's different. If I click on this, it opens a very limited set of settings specific only to one or two items in only this project. These aren't default settings. In order to go to the KineMaster default settings, I have to exit the project, go all the way back to the home screen, then I can go to settings, and here are the main settings for all of KineMaster. I have to make my adjustments there, and then I have to go back to the home screen, go back to my project, and it's just a bit of a slow and clunky process as opposed to PowerDirector, where you have access to the full suite of settings from inside all your projects. And if you go back to the home screen and scroll down, they're there as well. So these are your settings. You get to the same settings from the home screen and from when you're inside editing a video project. And I find that to be, again, a very thoughtful piece of design work for PowerDirector. So, for the category navigating the editing screen and settings, I'm afraid that is another win for PowerDirector. The next category for my comparison is editing tools and features. Now, editing tools and features is a very complicated category, and there's no way I can go into everything and compare all of the editing tools between KineMaster and PowerDirector. There are just way too many tools to talk about, and sometimes if you find there's a certain advantage to one tool in KineMaster over PowerDirector, you might discover later on that PowerDirector can do the same thing, but you use a different tool or a combination of different tools, or you can download a special feature from their website or something like that, and you can dive very deep into very technical editing features, and then you kind of get lost in the woods, and there's just way too much to talk about. But I'm going to go over some of the simpler features and compare the two programs as I see them in terms of usability for editing. Now, one big difference, I don't think it makes one better or worse than the other, but it's worth pointing out, is that when you edit an item in both PowerDirector and KineMaster, of course, you have to click on something first. In order to edit anything here in your project, you have to select it first. And in PowerDirector, when you click on an item, I'm going to click on this video clip in the foundation right now, it will open up an editing tool along the bottom. Let's do that now. So I clicked on this video clip, you can see that it's highlighted, and an editing tool opened up along the bottom of the screen. And you can see that there are tons and tons of tools here, various ways that I can edit this video clip. If I go into KineMaster, do the same thing. I have to click on something in order to edit it. you'll notice that the editing menu looks quite a bit different. Let's do that now. So I've clicked on this video clip. You can see it's highlighted with this yellow box, which means it has been selected, and an editing menu has opened up here on the right. And if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see that I can see this menu in words, or I can click here and change it into a grid of icons, somewhat similar to what you saw in PowerDirector, except here it is on the right. And as you saw in PowerDirector, it opens up the menu here along the bottom. I should note that this menu opening up automatically is something you have to turn on in PowerDirector. That is not the default setting. So if we go into the settings here and scroll down a little bit, you see this item right here. Open tool menu when selecting an object in timeline. I have it turned on, but the default setting is off. So now it is off, and I'll show you what that looks like. So here I am in my video project, and if I click on this clip now, you'll see it's highlighted, but the menu did not open up. In order to open the editing menu, I have to go down here to the bottom left, click on this editing pencil icon, and now it opens up the editing tool menu. I find that to be unnecessary. Why do something in 2 clicks when you can do it in 1? So I go to the settings, scroll down to open tool menu when selecting an object in timeline, turn that on, and now it's much more efficient. Every time I click on something, it automatically opens up the editing menu for that item. And it's important to note that the editing menu changes depending on what you clicked on. I clicked on a video here, and this is the video tools. If I clicked on a photograph, a menu also opens up, and these are all editing tools, but these are specific to editing photographs. And the same is true if I click on a audio track on a song. You can see another menu of tools has opened up, but this is much shorter because there are far fewer editing tools for audio in PowerDirector than video editing tools. So a different menu opens up depending on what item you click on. And the same thing, of course, would be true of KineMaster. So let's start by pointing out a couple of advantages that PowerDirector has over KineMaster. So if I click on this video, you see that there are a whole bunch of basic editing tools here. You can edit the volume, you can do audio mixing, a specialty audio tool, a filter adjustment. So when these, you can apply visual filters and change the white balance, change the hue and saturation and contrast. You can change the speed. In PowerDirector, the maximum speed is 8 times. In KineMaster, it's 16 times, but that's not a big advantage one way or the other. You can add special effects. So these are all largely the same between PowerDirector and KineMaster. I do find the KineMaster tools to be a bit more sophisticated, a bit more in-depth than the tools in PowerDirector. But for the most part, when you're talking about these basic tools, they largely do the same thing, and there's not much point comparing these between PowerDirector and KineMaster. But here you see a special tool called Stabilizer, and you would use this tool to stabilize a video clip if it's very jittery and it is bouncing around because you don't have stabilization in your camera. You can shoot the video and then stabilize it here in PowerDirector. And notice it has a little crown here, and that tells you it is a premium feature in PowerDirector. This does not come as part of the free version. You would have to buy a subscription, a monthly or annual subscription in order to get this feature. And it is a very useful feature to have, and the interesting thing is that PowerDirector has this built into it. KineMaster does not. There is no stabilizer built into KineMaster. KineMaster does offer a stabilizing program, but it's something you have to buy separately, and it is a completely separate piece of software, a separate application from the main editing package. And I've heard that it does not work very well. I can't really say how good this one is in PowerDirector, but I have used it and it seems to do an okay job, at least if you're doing videos for YouTube or something like that. One other advantage that PowerDirector has over KineMaster relates to the photo editing tools. So I've just clicked on a photo, and here are all the tools for editing photos, and many of these again are the same between KineMaster and PowerDirector. But PowerDirector has one very useful tool that KineMaster lacks, and it's this one right here, duration. And I use that all the time. So I've selected a photo. If I click on duration, you notice right now it's set to 10 seconds. That is how long the photo appears on the screen. And if I want to change that, I can simply grab this slider and pull it down. If I want it to be on the screen for 5 seconds, there, I've just changed the duration for that photo. And this is the important part, I can apply this setting to all the photos in the project at one time. So if I want every single photograph in this video project to be on screen for 5 seconds, I just have to click that, click OK, and this change will affect every photo in the project. And this can save you a lot of time, as opposed to going into the program and changing every photo one by one when you've decided to make an editing change. You can change the duration for all the photos all at once, and you can then from this menu change the default so that all photos that you add in the future in this project will also be on the screen for 5 seconds. This is a very powerful tool. I've used it all the time when I was using PowerDirector, and it is extremely useful. Let's cancel that. Take a look at the situation in KineMaster. Here, if I click on a photograph, I also get a menu. Just as with the video editing menu, it shows up here on the right instead of along the bottom, and a lot of these tools are the same. You can do, change the opacity of the photograph, just as you can in PowerDirector. You can change all the colors and the white balance and all of that. But as you see, there is no duration item. And the only way to change the duration for this photograph is to go grab the handle right here, click on it, and you can see the duration is currently 16.5 seconds, and then I would have to pull it to the left and bring it down to 5 seconds or thereabouts. So now I've changed the duration to 5 seconds, but notice the other photo didn't change. So if I wanted all of my photos to be 5 seconds long, now I've got to click on this one, grab the handle, pull it down to 5 seconds, and I would have to do that for every single photo in the project one by one, which is a much slower process. And if I want to change the default settings for all the photos in this project in the future, I then have to go into the settings, scroll down to editing, and here you set the photo duration within the project overall. With PowerDirector, as I demonstrated, you get all of these editing tools right inside the duration menu. You can change the duration for that individual photo, apply to all photos, apply as a default across the whole project. So it's a very powerful little tool, and it's something that I wish KineMaster had. From this point, I'm going to focus on things that KineMaster can do that PowerDirector can't. So these are now the advantages that you get if you use KineMaster. One is that the video splitting and trimming tool is much more advanced in KineMaster. I'll show you what this feature can do. We're still in PowerDirector here. To split a video into two parts, you want to cut it in half and then delete part of it or shorten it, do something like that. As always, you have to begin by clicking on the video clip. So I do that now. And then once I have it selected, and I have to make sure that my playhead is in the point where I want to cut the video, then I go down to the menu here on the left, the editing tool menu, and you see an item called split. Click on that, and now I have cut the video into two parts, a long part here on the right and a short part on the left. And then I would have to select this part on the left and then click on the trash button to delete it. So those are the steps involved in PowerDirector, and that's all you can do. All you can do is select and split. That's it. Select, scroll to where you want to cut. So I'm cutting the video into different parts, and then I can go in and edit each individual part that I've created. But in KineMaster, follows quite a different system. So let's scroll to a point on the video. Let's say we want to cut it right here. There is my playhead at this point in the video. So now I select that video clip. And up here, there's a pair of scissors. That is the trim and split tool in KineMaster. But instead of just splitting, it gives you a bunch of options. You can trim to the left of the playhead, trim to the right of the playhead, split at playhead, and you can even split and insert a freeze frame. So what this does, trim to left of playhead, is that it will automatically delete everything that is to the left. Trim to the right automatically deletes everything to the right. So if I click on this, you'll notice that this whole part will disappear, and then this video clip will just move over to the left. Boom. So I can do in one click what takes me in PowerDirector. Let's see how many clicks. I got to click on split, then I've got to click over here, and then click on delete. So 3 clicks to accomplish what takes only 1 click over here in KineMaster. This item, split at playhead, that's the same as the tool on PowerDirector. So this is all you get in PowerDirector, and you get 3 other options in KineMaster. And this is a real fun one because it splits the video into 2 and then takes this image, saves a copy of it, and inserts it as a photograph. I'll show you how that works. So now we have video over here, and in the center, it's created a photograph of that screen. And that can be very handy for lots of reasons. Perhaps I want the video to pause at this point, and then I want to talk about that image or put some text on the screen or do something like that. Once you get used to this idea of trimming to the left, trimming to the right, splitting and inserting a freeze frame, you find you use these tools all the time. They're very powerful tools, and this one tool alone might be a reason to select KineMaster over PowerDirector. I find it to be that useful. Next feature I'm going to look at is the pan and zoom feature, which is a very useful feature in both programs. How it works in PowerDirector, you select the video that you want to work on, and then over here you have pan and zoom. Basically what this tool does is it allows you to zoom in on just a part of the video, and then as the video plays, you can zoom over, pan over to another area of the video. So you end up setting a beginning point and an end point to the zoom. So here we select custom motion, say OK. And then this menu shows up, and here you establish your start position, and here you establish your end position for the panning motion. And that's all you can do. KineMaster has one little trick up its sleeve when it comes to panning and zooming. So we click on it. This here is the panning and zooming tool in KineMaster. So let's select that. Just as with PowerDirector, we have a start position and an end position. You can see they are pretty much identical, but they have this little equal sign there, which is a very handy tool because what it means is I can set my start position. I'll just show you how that works. So this might be my start position. I've zoomed in on my face, and I can click on this equal sign, and that automatically puts the end position in the exact same spot, and it has the exact same size. So essentially, you can use this equal sign as a convenient shortcut to crop in on the video. That may not make a lot of sense if you haven't spent time with these tools, but trust me, this little equal sign is a real game changer. It helps you out a lot. It basically turns pan and zoom into a pan, zoom, and crop tool, which is very handy to have. So this is another advantage to KineMaster. Moving on, KineMaster has another very powerful tool that, as far as I know, PowerDirector lacks. I have not been able to find this tool anywhere in PowerDirector, so I don't have anything to show you here except that if I click on the video clip and I click on volume, I can mute the volume, fade in and fade out. Audio mixing, I can control levels a little bit. Audio tool, I can change the sound of the voice and do this denoising thing. And that is pretty much it as far as audio goes. But in KineMaster, click on that same video tool, and if I scroll down all the way to the bottom, well, I mean, I have all the same tools that you have in PowerDirector. This is the main audio tool. So here you can mute it, you can raise and lower the volume. Here you'd have your mixer. It's all kind of put together. So that is your basic audio tool. But if you scroll down to the bottom, you will find something very interesting: extract audio. This is an extremely useful tool, and what it does is it takes the audio from this video, pulls it out, and saves it as a separate audio track. Let's see how that works here. And there we have it. It happens so fast. Down here, 30822 MP4, this is the complete audio from this video. And in fact, we now have two copies. We have this audio track and we have the same audio still playing in the video. So if all you wanted was this audio, then you would have to go into this one and mute it. Look at that, it did it automatically. I didn't even realize that. So when it extracts the audio, it automatically mutes the audio in the original. Yeah, that's very cool. Anyway, it may not be totally apparent right now if you've never done this kind of thing before, but when you're editing a video project, you'll find many, many reasons why you might want to pull the audio alone out of a video. Moving on, there are a few other features, editing tools in KineMaster that PowerDirector lacks completely. So for these next ones, there really is nothing else to show in PowerDirector because, as far as I'm aware, you just can't do these things in PowerDirector at all. So let's leave PowerDirector for now, hop over to KineMaster, and one of these tools is the ability to drop a pin, a location pin, anywhere along your project's timeline. And it's very easy to do. So you can scan through your project, and maybe I know, for example, that I want to put a photograph right here at this point in the video. Maybe I want to insert a new photograph up here in the corner, but I'm going to do it later, and I just want to record the location. what I do is simply click on this red bar indicating the playhead location. Click on it, you notice that it turned purple, and if we scan to the side, you'll notice that it dropped a marker right on that point. And I believe KineMaster calls these bookmarks. These have multiple uses, as I say, because you can just record a point in the video that you want to remember for later. You can use these for all kinds of graphic editing and animation techniques. And if you click now on this bar, you'll see that a list of the available bookmarks will pop up. Here they are here. So these are the bookmarks now available, and I can jump to any of these points by clicking on them. Now I've jumped to that exact bookmark. Let's do that again. Move to the side, click and hold, and then this bookmarks menu pops up, and I can jump to any one of these bookmarks that I choose, and we jump straight there. So it's a very handy and very powerful tool. Next, KineMaster has a very convenient way for placing elements on the screen. So for example, if I want to situate this picture somewhere specific, maybe I want it centered horizontally or vertically, all I need to do is click on the photo. Now it is highlighted, and as I drag it around the screen and I get near the center, boom. See that red line pops up? When that red line pops up, I know that the photo is perfectly centered top to bottom, and if I want to center it left to right, I just move it in this direction, there. And when I have that red X, I know that this photograph is centered perfectly on the screen. And that is a very handy tool. And you can do this in another way as well. Select the photo, and up here we have a shortcut menu, and here center horizontally. One click, and it is now centered horizontally. Go back here, center vertically, boom. Now it is centered vertically, and this photograph has been placed at the exact center of this frame. And that is a very powerful tool in KineMaster, and I end up using it all the time. And speaking of this shortcut menu, that is another feature that KineMaster has, which I believe PowerDirector lacks. So if I click on one of these photos, it reveals these three dots in the upper left corner, and that is kind of a shortcut menu. Clicking here, you can, as I indicated, center the photo horizontally or vertically, but you can also duplicate it from here. So simply clicking on this will make a copy of that photo. So now I have two of them here on the page. As you can see, 1, 2. I can go up here, and then I can move these photographs back and forth through the layers. Because, as you noticed, there are many different layers now on this video project. So in fact, we've got the foundation video, another video sitting on top of that, then two photos, then a third photo. So all of these are stacked one on top of the other, and sometimes you want one to be sitting on top of another one, or you want it behind that one. And a very easy way to organize that, I'll give you an example here. Let's put this photo, it's now sitting on top of that photo and obscuring it because, well, it's obscuring everything, isn't it? Because it's sitting on top of both these photos, and let's move it all the way over here, and it's even sitting on top of this video clip. So it is sitting on top of everything, and I may not want that. So we click on it, go to the shortcut menu, and we say send backward. So it went back one stage. So now it's behind this photo, but still on top of this one and still on top of that video clip. So you have very precise control. Send backward one more stage. Now it is behind this photo and this photo, but it's still on top of this video. So in fact, if I click on it again, I could select send to back, which will automatically send it all the way to the back. And now it is sitting underneath all three of these other items on the screen. You can never send it behind the original video, the clip that makes up the foundation. That is always there, always visible, and then there's nothing you can do about that, except, just as a little bit of a tip, if you do want this picture to disappear entirely for some reason, then you can go over to this menu over here to alpha, opacity, click on that, and then reduce it all the way down to 0. And of course, this photo magically disappears. It's still here. You can still use it later on, but for these few seconds, it's actually invisible, which is a very, in a way, that's kind of like sending it behind the original video, even though technically it's actually sitting on top of it. So let's change that back to 100%, and boom, our picture is back again. And you can set it to 50%, you know, and have that photo somewhat visible. You know, you can zoom it all up and down. So this shortcut menu for photos is extremely powerful. And again, it is something I use all the time. And I think it is also one feature that makes KineMaster perhaps a superior choice to PowerDirector, just to have this one feature. This shortcut menu is also available for video clips. So I have this video clip on top of the original video. Let's select that. And we also get a shortcut menu. It can do all the same things. It can center vertically, center horizontally, send to the back, and you can send it backward and forward. And of course, you can duplicate it. And if you click on the main video clip, the foundation for this whole project, same thing. You get a shortcut menu, and this gives you one very powerful feature. You can duplicate it, and you can duplicate as layer. If you duplicate it, all it does is create another copy on the foundation. Let's do that. Boom. So now I have two of them, one here, and they are identical copies, one of the other, and they're both sitting on the foundation. But I can also select this clip, and maybe I want it as a layer. Easily done in KineMaster. Select duplicate as layer, and there it is. I've created a copy of the foundation clip down here, and it is now one of the layers. And there are many, many, many advantages to being able to do that. You can put a video as a layer in PowerDirector, of course, but there is no shortcut menu to do that right from here. What you would have to do is start from the very beginning. You would have to go to our layers button, click on the layer button, select video, go to the folder, find the video that you want to put in a layer, and then click on it, and then it will go down into a layer. But that is a very long and very slow process compared to what is possible here in KineMaster with this handy shortcut menu right there. Duplicate and duplicate as layer. Very powerful tool. Another interesting advantage for KineMaster lies in creating text if you want any kind of text to show up on your video. Let's go over to PowerDirector, and I'll show you what's going on over here first. If I want to add text to this video, I have to click on the layers button because text can only be added as a layer. When you do that, by default, it opens up this title section. And as far as I can make out, this is the only way that you can add text into PowerDirector, and that is by choosing one of these title packages. You have the default one, cool effects, interactive titles, social media titles, a variety of types, and they each come with graphic elements, fading in, fading out, different colors, motions, animation, all these things. But what I'm looking for is nothing like this. I can make it work. If you select, for example, just Cyberlink default, then you can just type in normal text. But it just feels like a very clunky and not very sophisticated way of doing this. Let's go back to KineMaster to see what the alternatives might be. So here, what you would do is you click on the layer button, just as you would with PowerDirector, because text always has to be added as a layer. And then it opens up this lovely arcing menu. Here you add photos and videos. You can add special effects, stickers, handwriting, we'll talk about that next, and right here, text. So it has a separate menu system just for adding text. It's not part of the title sequence feature. It is a separate feature for adding text. Click on it. Opens up a little typewriter for you. Let's just type in, let's see, well, in this video I'm actually golfing, so let's type the word golfing and let's make it very cheerful with an exclamation mark. Click OK, and there's the word golfing, and that is now part of our project. And then over here is the editing menu, and of course you can do anything you want to this word. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller, I can tilt it, all these things. I can change the font. Let's go for bold italic. I can change the color, of course. Let's make it orange. Big fan of orange. And you can do all kinds of things in terms of animation. Fading in, fading out. In overall animation, I can make it pulse like that. I can make it look like it's had 20 cups of coffee, jittering, flickering. This is a fun one. I can make it go around in a ring. All these goofy little animations that you can do. I can make it drift around. Love the rain. I can make it rain golfing. Very cool. I can make it spin around counterclockwise or clockwise. So I can do all these things with this text. And a lot of other things on top of that. These are all the options available. So you can see it's a very powerful tool, and again, I'm using this all the time. I always like to give text a little bit of an outline. It sort of makes it stand out, so I enable outline. And now you can see that there's a black line around the orange lettering, and that kind of makes it stand out. And now I can move this around the screen, and I can center it using those red lines. So these are a lot of capabilities that I use all the time in KineMaster that you just don't have in PowerDirector, at least not that I'm aware. Another feature that I mentioned when I opened up the layer tools is something, to be honest, that I just discovered for myself, and I had no idea how useful it really was. And this is the handwriting tool down here at the bottom. Click on that, and now we have this menu system here. These are the writing tools that you can choose from. So here is a pencil. Here you choose how big or small your line is, and this is the color of the line. So now that I've chosen pencil, I can go in here, and if using my mouse or using my finger or using a stylus, because this is a touch screen, I can now write on the screen. Anything I want to write. S for Superman, anything I would like. Here there is an erase tool. If I don't like what I just did, now I can erase it. And I can go into here, into my tools, and this is a very useful one I found. I can get arrows. So perhaps in the video I'm talking about this boat right here, and it's very hard to see, and I want to point it out on the screen. So now I just draw an arrow on the screen pointing to the boat. If I want a circle around the boat, there we go, I just made a circle. Whoops. The circle did not end up anywhere near the boat. Let's erase all of that and start over. Okay, let's make a circle. And now that there's just a circle, down here you can see an item in the layers called handwriting. And that is this item that I just created. And if I click on that, it selects this, and now I can move it around the screen anywhere I want it to go. So I can take this, put it around me if I want. Maybe I want to turn this into a scope. Let's see, can I do that? Yeah, I think I can make an X. How does this work? Put an X right there. Let's see if we can get that centered. So now I've got a scope on me. And once you have these items, for example, let's make another arrow just for fun, pointing down at the boats. And now that I have this arrow here, I can animate it. So this is the in animation. I can draw in order, so it will animate in the direction that I created it, and I can increase how much time it takes for that to happen. So if I increase the length of my item here, go into animation, I can say, okay, let's take 4 seconds to draw that arrow, and now let's see what happens on the screen as we play the video. There's the arrow. Boom. And maybe we want it to do something special when it leaves the screen, so we can select it, go into our out animation, and let's make it spin counterclockwise until it disappears from the screen. And let's see what happens now. So the arrow gets drawn down to the bottom, pointing at the boats. Now we don't need the arrow anymore. We want it to go away. And when it gets to the end, spins and then disappears from the screen. So it's very simple to do, and I just learned about how useful this feature is, to be honest. And the other tools that you have in here, we've got just lines, arrow, line with arrows on both ends, a pen, and there is like a paint can if you want to do some broader, more like a spray can, graffiti in different colors, whatever you want. You can make squares, solid squares. You can make solid circles, anything that you can think of. And now I can go back into here and, erase and make a little pattern if I want, whatever. You're only limited by your imagination, as they say. And now that I have this square and the circle, I can move them around the screen. I can animate them. I can trim them, split them, rotate them, all sorts of different things. So this, they call it in the menu handwriting, but there is a lot more here than just handwriting. You have all these other graphic elements. And I've started to use that quite a bit. I will end my discussion of the editing features with just one more little tool that KineMaster offers that I don't think you can find in PowerDirector, and this is the capture tool. And that is over here on the side. It looks sort of like something is taking a picture through a camera's viewfinder, and that's exactly what it does. This appears when there is no selection. If I select a photo, you'll see that it's gone. And in its place, you get this key. I won't talk about that because that is like key animation. And that is a very sophisticated and powerful tool where you can animate everything on the screen, but I have no idea how to use it. I've never tried using it. And I'll save that for the future, but that is a key animation. Very powerful tool as well. But if nothing is selected, you see that there is this little capture tool. And what this does is basically take a picture of whatever is on the screen, and then you can add it to your project wherever you want to go. So let's click on it. So I can capture something and save it to my phone. I can capture and add as a clip Clip is the term KineMaster uses for the video and photos on the foundation. They call those clips for some reason, and then they call the other ones layers. So I can capture this and add it as a clip. Let's do that. And there it is. So now this is actually a photograph of the screen instead of a video. I took a screenshot basically and added it as a photo. Go back here, click capture. I can also capture and add as layer. Show you what that looks like. Boom. So what we've done is we've taken a picture of the screen and added it as a layer. And right now it's not visible, I don't think, because it's hiding behind everything else. So let's bring it to the front. Oh no, it's right there. I didn't even recognize it because it's so mixed in with the background. Yeah, it is a picture of the whole screen. And that I created that. So you can do all kinds of infinite layers here now because I've got this screen, a picture of that screen, and now I can take another picture, save it as a layer, and now I've got another one, a picture inside a picture inside a picture, and you can keep going on and on and on. You wouldn't normally do this, of course, but it is a very useful thing that whenever you have a video up on the screen, like here I have a video of just me and this little mini video, it's like, oh, I want a picture of that, boom, capture, add as layer, and there it is. So I have a picture of this entire screen. Here at the very end, all the other elements have disappeared. There's no videos, there's no photos, you know. Maybe I want to use a picture of this for something, maybe even a thumbnail. So I can say capture and add as layer, and there we have it, picture of a picture. Or capture and save to my phone, and it tells me where it captured it, and now I can use this as the thumbnail for my YouTube video. So, very simple tool, but once you start using it, you find that it has an incredible number of uses. So now that we've moved far into the project, I can use the handy KineMaster menu here to move back to the beginning. And here we are, right back at the beginning again. And that is the end of my discussion of KineMaster versus PowerDirector in terms of editing tools, and it kind of ended up being more of a summary of some of the special tools in KineMaster, and that of course is for the simple reason that, as far as I'm aware, all these tools in KineMaster do not exist in PowerDirector. You have these special tools in KineMaster, but you're not going to find them, or most of them, here in PowerDirector. So as far as this category goes, editing tools and features, I think KineMaster is the clear winner.